Hello there, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates. I have a bit of a controversial topic today, and I hope you'll be patient with me and bear with me for just a moment to explain my provocative title. The title of the video is "You Were Not Victimized by Your Narcissistic Abuser." Now, y'all know me. If you've been watching videos, you know that if anybody believes in narcissistic abuse syndrome, it's me. I've had videos called Narcissistic Monsters with Human Faces, Narcissistic Abuse equals Soul Murder and Heart Rape, and Recruiting Monsters, Predators, Narcissists, Vampires, or Sociopaths to Shatter, Destroy, and Heal You. I would never blame the victim. I would never soft pedal the monstrousness of the monster. However, I do have some things to teach you that could change your life forever. This is probably the most important video that I've ever made, because this is the video that can really quantum leap set you free from much of the torture of your narcissistic abuse syndromes. If I could, at this point in the game, change the title of the syndrome from Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome to Cluster B disorder trauma syndrome, because I think it throws some people when you call it narcissistic abuse, because they go to DSM-5 and they read the criteria for narcissism, and their particular bad actor maybe isn't described by narcissistic personality disorder. Maybe they're borderline. Maybe they're a covert narcissist. Maybe they're an antisocial personality disorder individual. So that can throw people. And then the word abuse, I don't like it. I would prefer the word trauma and traumatized, because I believe in adult relationships, we all pick who we need to pick, and we are 100% responsible for our choices. And I do not believe that I was victimized by my particularly nasty, vicious, psychopath borderline. However, I was brutally traumatized. And I did experience what we call narcissistic abuse syndrome. The reason I say I don't believe that I was victimized is when I first started to date this individual back in September of 2008, I went out on a date and it went well and she was adoring, but I had no fear of her. She's somebody a type of person I hadn't dated before. I wasn't skeptical. I didn't really know who she was. We had a nice date. I cleared away the other dates that I had scheduled for the week, and then she told me, "Hey, since you cleared away your dates, you can spend the night." And I should have gotten up and left right then, because we hadn't developed an intimacy that warranted me sleeping the night. And clearly she was looking to trade sexual services for financial security. And it was so plain and obvious, but I chose to walk into a dangerous situation with a lot of naivety. So then I set about being oblivious and workaholic, and not really paying attention to this individual. I settled for a lot of emotional abuse that she leveled at me. I turned a blind eye to who she was. There were several times where she virtually announced that she was having an affair, but my wounded little boy stuck his head in the sand like an ostrich and just blocked it out. And I put her out of my house 3 times and then got back with her. None of these things she made me do. She never pulled out a gun and said, I'm moving into your house, or we have to get back together. I did that to myself. And the reason I did that is this woman was a psychological clone of my mother. And I had some scratches that needed itched. I needed to work on healing the wounds of severe, brutal, primitive, primal abandonment from all the way back in my infancy. So I needed somebody who would be a fake fiance, who would give her love to another man, and then who would walk away with no empathy or compassion, just the way my mother did. She gave her love to my little brother, but she completely abandoned me. So you need to ask yourself, what are the family of origin issues that are at play that drew you to the narcissist? You're not like a super duper emotionally healthy person who got involved with the devil. If you were super duper emotionally healthy, you wouldn't have gotten involved with the devil, I'm afraid to tell you. So here's the paradigm that I want to give you. This is worth its weight in gold. I tell my clients through the years that I only know one thing and I only have one skill. But I've been booked as a therapist since 1989 and have had anywhere from 12 to 7 therapists working for me during that time. And I've been very, very successful being a one-trick pony. My one trick is this that I'm about ready to tell you, that nobody is a victim in a relationship. So here's what I tell couples when they come in. I tell them, and they love this. Did you know that love and marriage was designed to make you friggin' miserable? And sometimes they high five and go, yay, us, we're miserable, we're doing it right, you know. But I'm completely serious when I say that. Let me explain it by the drawing here. This is our emotional wounds, and then Mother Nature equips us with these psychological defense mechanisms right about 18 months of age. And as you get older and as the wounds become deeper, the defense mechanisms become thicker and more complex and more sophisticated. So here is a typical 22-year-old who is ready to leave home. They are well defended. They should be locked up because they're deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. So Mother Nature is fine with the 22-year-old being all walled off because Mother Nature has 3 agendas. And the agendas are survive your childhood, get through it. Get through your childhood with the least amount of damage and the least amount of woundedness as possible. The second thing Mother Nature wants is for people in their 20s and early 30s is to fall in love with somebody, to get married, and to have some babies. Mother Nature is all about propagating the species. But Mother Nature has a rather wicked third agenda, and that is to heal the wounds at your core. But Mother Nature cannot heal the wounds of your core because these defense mechanisms are made out of titanium. So if somebody comes in and they're put together like this, they're 26 years old, I'm like, dude, you're in the wrong place. I could run the feedback past you. You're not going to get it. Why don't you go out and live life and get a little miles on the tire and get run over by a few trucks, call me in 10 years, because you ain't ready. So Mother Nature is all about healing you. If I were to cut my finger, then immediately red blood platelets arrive on the scene. They begin to coagulate the blood. They begin a healing process. 2 weeks later, I don't have a cut. Mother Nature would like to heal your wounds, but cannot without a tool. We needs us a tool to tear down some walls so that people can start their healing process. So Mother Nature came up with a tool. It's called love and marriage. Love and marriage. It's called love and marriage. And this tool that Mother Nature needed to come up with has 3 criteria. Number 1, it has to be something almost everybody on the planet participates in. It wouldn't do to have some mechanism that only a third of the world participate in. Almost everybody falls in love at least one time in their lifetime. The second thing is it had to be time delayed. If you get married at 23, having the walls cave in at 26 and getting divorced before you get them babies just wouldn't do. So enmeshment, or the early part of love, is meant to keep people bonded, keep people making love, so we can get us some babies. So the third criteria for the tool is it had to hurt bad enough, be powerful enough, be piercing enough to cut through these walls. So you get your protection from childhood till 33, then your marriage starts eating away at you, and then somewhere between 38 and 48, I get couples sitting in front of me who are bleeding, and they're looking out from behind these walls, and what do they see? They see, I know the problem. She's the problem. If she would just quit criticizing me and just give me good love and would have sex with me once in a while, we'd be all good. Or she says, I know the problem. It's that son of a gun. He works too much. He flirts with his secretary. He drinks too much. Doesn't spend enough time with me. So they're both looking out from behind their walls, and they're focusing on each other. I teach people to look out from behind the walls and then to be able to take in information about themselves where they can take responsibility for their choices. Everybody makes choices, and nobody in love requires you to do what you've done. So let me read a cute little story right about now to explain what I'm trying to talk about. Hang with me. I do know what I'm talking about here, and it will help you tremendously. Do not turn this video off. The message in this video can change your life forever. Once upon a time, there was a non-conforming sparrow who decided not to fly south for the winter. However, soon the weather turned so cold that he reluctantly started to fly south. In a short time, ice began to form on his wings, and he fell to the earth in a barnyard, almost frozen. Just then a cow passed by and crapped all over the little bird. The sparrow thought his life was over, but in fact, the manure warmed him and defrosted his wings. Warm and happy and able to breathe, he started to sing. Just then a cat came by, heard the chirping, cleared away the manure, found the little bird, and promptly ate him. So there's two morals to the story. Number one, everybody who shits on you is not necessarily your enemy. And number two, everyone who gets you out of the shit is not necessarily your friend. So the sad truth for me, folks, is I was left in a backyard in a rage to cry, abandoned as an infant. And I did not meet my mother's narcissistic needs as a mother, so she shunned me. And I wasn't cute and cuddly, I was angry and screaming. And then my little brother came along, and he was adorable, blonde-haired, blue eyes, never cried, little angel. And she bonded to him and just left me all alone and abandoned. And that wound was lodged deep in my belly, and it really hadn't been opened up until I became 45, where nature started trying to heal me with a variety of scary, angry, crazy, mean, hot chicks who ripped me to shreds. They were like a pack of wolves, one at a time. And but that's what I needed to go through to heal what was inside me. So this paradigm shift that I'm talking about, it doesn't mean that you weren't traumatized, and it doesn't mean that your spouse wasn't the devil. I'm sure they were the devil. Mine was. I'm sure you were traumatized. I was traumatized within an inch of my life. But if you can buy into this, you're not a victim paradigm, there are 10 wonderful things that it will do for you. Number one, it's an antidote for the infection in your wound. If you have an infection, if you have a wound in your arm, that's bad enough. But if you get an infection in the wound, that can kill you. Or they might have to cut your arm off in order for you to live. And that's what victim mentality is. We have a wound in living flesh. And that's bad enough. And that'll almost kill you. And that'll take all of your time and resources to heal from. But if you believe that you're this innocent bystander who has no responsibility in your choices, and that you were this healthy, happy person, and the devil came along and done it to you, you're going to be awfully bitter. And it's just not true. You needed this person in your life to reenact the wounds of your childhood. They didn't have the power to do that to you. You enlisted them. You gave them the power to do it because you needed to have it done to you for this healing process I speak of. Number two, if you adopt this paradigm, it'll help you make sense of your entire life and help you make sense of the world. It'll all fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. Every couple that I work with, I sit in front of them with a genogram or a family tree, and I get 4 generations on one piece of paper, and then I study that piece of paper, and it always makes sense. It always makes sense. It's like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and if you are picking one narcissist after psychopath after sociopath after another, it's not just because the world is filled with them, it's because you're attracting them. And you're attracting them because you're family of origin. And you don't recognize them, and you don't protect yourself. And if you don't protect yourself, then you're putting yourself in danger. You're doing that to yourself. Number 3, this paradigm empowers you, and it makes the world seem as safe as it really is. The world isn't so unsafe that every third person is a zombie narcissist in disguise who's going to rip into your soul at every chance they get. The world is a dark place. There are a lot of monsters out there, but it ain't that bad. So when you know specifically you were endangered for a reason, then it helps you to not be paranoid. That you know that you have the power to protect you. Nobody has the power to do it to you without your full consent and cooperation. Number 4, this paradigm will put you on guard for your next relationship. So many people get destroyed in a relationship and they just think, I got to find that special person who will really love me. They're not out there. That special person's not out there. You like who you like. And if you've had string after string of somebody who's narcissistic, the best you can hope for is a moderate narcissistic person who is in some very steep recovery, who's able and willing to join you in work to build an interdependent relationship. Or you can pick the anti-type of who you like, and there's not going to be a lot of chemistry there. There's not going to be a lot of fire there. Not going to be a lot of fireworks, but at least you're not going to be with a wolf in sheep's clothing. Or be alone. Then there are some people that choose just to be alone. Those are your choices. Be alone. Pick somebody who's the opposite of who you're attracted to, who is going to be, frankly, a little boring, or pick somebody who's in the ballpark who is workable. And I think that's the best option in the long run. Number 5, this proper paradigm, it puts you on guard in your relationships with your family of origin. You know, if you're brought up by narcissists, you're going to have some siblings who are narcissists. And if you go around trusting every sibling you have, you're going to be ravaged. I have a sister who's just a notorious, scary, vicious borderline. And I have had to go no contact because she's a monster. And understanding my recovery principles that narcissism comes from family of origin gives me a heads up about the family of origin that's still left on the planet that might be dangerous to me. Number 6, being shattered like this and understanding that it's your own issues from your family of origin will motivate you to do the work on yourself like nothing else ever will. Number 7, if you understand that you've not been victimized, that you cooperated in your slaughtering, it will reduce your amount of pain and suffering and the amount of pain and suffering of those around you. I've had so many adults who were raised by bitter mothers whose dads left them when they were children. Dad left 30 years ago. Mom just was filled with victim mentality. Yes, she went through some narcissistic abuse, but she's still mired in it 30 years later, and she still hates the man. And that's what keeps people stuck. And getting the poison out of your system will help you make sense of your world, and it'll make your pain much less. Number 8, it'll help you just move on with your life. You know, this was a chapter. This is something I needed to go through. And thank goodness it's over. I've got my eyes open. It ain't going to happen to me again. Number 9, it's going to release you from any fantasies of revenge. I was treated horrifically by my fiance and by her sex addict, predator, scuzzbag boyfriend. And if I wasn't in recovery and I believed I was victimized, there'd be revenge on the horizon, you know, at some point. But since I know that I chose her, I let the devil in the house, I let 2 devils in my house, and it's blessed me. It's helped me to grow. It taught me the truth about myself. I was the emperor with no clothes, and then I became a person that got filled with light. Light comes where the wound is. So I've had a lot of lights turned on because of the healing of my wounds. And the 10th reason that you really should embrace this paradigm as you've not been victimized is it's the truth. It's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. So I'm trying to move people toward gratitude, toward forgiveness, and then toward thriving. If you want to know more about this topic, on our YouTube channel, there is a playlist called Uprooting Victim Mentality. There's 30, 40 videos on there, mainly made by me, mainly talking about this situation. Your sexuality, unfortunately, is calibrated by your emotional wounds. If at the time you met your particular psychopath, you went to a party, the day you met your psychopath, and there were 99 really nice men there who would never lie, never cheat, never be cruel, always tell the truth, and wouldn't practice, grand finales and mind fucking. And there's one guy there who would do all those things. If you grew up with a narcissist or a psychopath or a predator, guess which one you're going to be taken home by? The bad guy, the narcissist, the psychopath, because you're wired to like them. So we have been traumatized horrifically. Anybody who doesn't see that, it just maddens me, and it re-traumatizes me. We have been traumatized by monsters, by vampires, by cluster B people with no empathy and no soul. But we cooperated with our own demise every single step of the way. And as adults, we have to take responsibility for our own lives. Watch the playlist. You can send comments. Be kind. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get poison out of your wound. Having a bunch of poison in your wound is not going to be good for you. So let's eradicate victim mentality. Let me give you a quick example of how life-changing this paradigm shift could be. About 5 years ago, a couple came to me early in the morning, 7:30, because she was filing for divorce at 10:30. She looked at him with hate and contempt. She'd been married 4 years. She thought he was Mr. Clean. She found out he had been broadcasting sexual acts on his webcam to the universe so that the universe could enjoy those exploits. And she was not very impressed by that, to say the least. She was going to get divorced and keep the children from him. And within 10 minutes of me explaining this paradigm, the divorce, the lawyers were canceled. And rather than a woman sitting there filled with hatred and contempt, there was a woman sitting there sweetly crying like a lovely little child. And her husband had been upgraded from the status of wicked, disgusting pervert to fellow sufferer of family of origin issues. So I asked her, what happened? It's only been 10 minutes you've been here. And she said, well, you said we marry our issues, and it turns out my dad is in prison for sexual crimes. And he was a notorious sexual addict my whole life, and I just buried that material. And when you said we marry the people that wound us the most, something clicked in my heart and my mind, and I just knew that I married this squeaky clean looking guy so that Mother Nature could make me work on my unresolved issues with my father. And I ran into this lady at Costco not long ago, and they're doing well, and they're blessed, and they're happily married. But they would have gotten divorced if they wouldn't have had this paradigm shift. So be open, dear ones. I'm not peddling garbage here. This is the truth. Watch the playlist, Uprooting Victim Mentality. I love you guys. Join our YouTube channel. Visit familytreecounseling.com. Buy some books. There's books on the YouTube on familytreecounseling.com about affair recovery and about marriage that can help you understand this concept. So thank you for watching. God bless.